people who network from a corporate perspective, there is something different versus people who network as an entrepreneur. If you do that from a corporate perspective, you've got the corporate vision, mission behind you. You already know exactly the target market because that's defined by your organization. And so when you go to corporate event, you are representing the corporate brand. You live, breathe, and you endorse that. It becomes yours. When you step out of the corporate role, that identity is no longer yours. And so you will need to build your own identity as an entrepreneur, which means that it takes time. You need to go deep. And that's where the inner work comes in, because most of us like to be told what to do. We want to know the how. But in the corporate world, asking the how is not going to get you the answer.
Welcome to another episode of Listeners to Leads, where I'm helping podcasters launch and maintain a lead-generating show. I'm your host, Alicia Galati, the CEO and head podcast strategist behind Galati Media, a full-service podcast management company. On this show, you'll hear my guests and I discuss everything it takes to launch a successful podcast and keep it running. If you're ready to get leads, land speaking gigs, and create deeper connections with your audience through your podcast, then this is the show for you. Today on the podcast, we have Jocelyn Chong. You are going to love Jocelyn. She is giving us the perspective of using your podcast as a networking tool. We also talk about why entrepreneurs struggle with networking and marketing themselves and talking about what it is that they do. She gives some really actionable steps and things that you can pause this recording and do. They are so incredible. Without further ado, join me in welcoming Jocelyn to the show. Hello, Jocelyn. Thank you so much for being on the show today. If you could just start by telling everyone who you are, what you do, and about your show.
Hi, Alicia. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm Jocelyn Chong. Hello, everyone. I am from Melbourne, Australia. I'm a networking specialist, #1 international best-selling author for 4 books. I'm a global speaker, business coach with 22 years of banking and finance experience, working for the top banks in Australia. So that's a little bit of me. And I live by the beach in Australia, which is fun. And we are in summer at the moment at the time of this recording. So we are enjoying the sunshine, which is amazing. And at the moment, there's a lot of music concerts around where I live. So just lots of blessings that I'm surrounding myself with, and I'm very grateful for what I've got around me. And I love to come in and chat with you about a few things on the networking part, because to me, networking is marketing. So we'll explore a bit more of this topic in the next few moments.
Yes. So let's start with your show, right? So you have a podcast. You've been podcasting since what I saw, I believe is October 2020. So congratulations. That is incredible. Most people stop at 10 episodes or stop after 20 episodes, like the majority of people. So the fact that you've gotten past that, incredible, hoorah, worth celebrating, right? But you did a soft rebrand, and I've been seeing this a lot lately with the people that I've had on the show where, you know, they have a podcast and they've got their audience nailed down, and then they just do this nice little tweak just to kind of tighten it a little bit. And I think that it's so valuable. So if you could tell us a little bit about what your show was like before, title, all that stuff, and then how you came to decide that you were going to do that soft rebrand.
So when I first started, I wanted to talk a lot about finance, banking, money, because I came from that environment. I know that inside out, back to front, Z to A. And I then did a lot of inner work. So I went through a phase where I devoted about 2.5 years or so into all types of inner work to unlock a lot of money energy, relationship boundaries, a lot of areas on limiting beliefs that I had to let go, reprogram all the old patterns and all the trauma from childhood. And those are the areas then I learned about, all right, living in total abundance, because I always feel that abundance is external and I have to strive for it. And that doing that deep dive, it was amazing. I highly recommend. And then I went through this phase called magnetic abundance, like completely immerse myself into living in joy, abundance, and calm and peace, because my life prior to that was very chaotic, intense, fast-paced, all the kind of pressures and demands. And then I went through that phase, and then after I gotten so deep, I came to a place where I want to see other people doing that. But I also want to combine a lot of life lessons that I went through, that I did the third rebrand, which was this year. And for me, I always believe that we grow, we evolve, we have got so much in us to offer. And it's okay to rebrand. I own the rebrand because, I never wanted to be the same person that I was 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, because I invest so much in self-growth. And so I want my audience to come on a journey with me. That's why I was very comfortable with a rebrand. I kept all the episodes I recorded back right to 2020 because it was my journey. And I want to demonstrate to people that it's okay to come on a journey, that it's okay to rebrand, because imagine your same old, which is not going to be fun. So I like to invite people to upgrade themselves in the right way and continue to find ways to see the beauty in yourself, to access your own wisdom, to really think about what else that is in your uniqueness that you can draw out, you can unleash, you can uncensor, you can untame. And so that was the journey of podcast rebranding.
Where do you find that people kind of get hung up when it comes to like putting themselves out there, right? So you mentioned before, like the things that you used to do when you were in corporate. And I feel like it can be different, right? Because my background's in manufacturing, and talking about what I did for work was like, yeah, whatever. Like, this is what I do. I'm in supply chain. This is what I do for my job. And it was very easy to talk about that. But then when it has to do with your own brand, your own business, your own entrepreneurial journey, we tend to either gloss over it in a way that's like, oh yeah, I do this thing, or we don't really share like the full scope of what it is that we do that is so incredible. Have you found that to be the case? And why do you think that is, that we kind of gloss over it?
I think the reason why we gloss over it is because we're not comfortable with ourselves. So people who network from a corporate perspective, there is something different versus people who network as an entrepreneur. If you do that from a corporate perspective, you've got the corporate vision, mission behind you. You already know exactly the target market because that's defined by your organization. And so when you go to corporate event, you are representing the corporate brand. You live, breathe, and you endorse that. It becomes yours. When you step out of the corporate role, that identity is no longer yours. And so you will need to build your own identity as an entrepreneur, which means that it takes time. You need to go deep. And that's where the inner work comes in, because most of us like to be told what to do. We want to know the how. But in the corporate world, asking the how is not going to get you the answer. It's actually accessing our own inner wisdom and figuring it out, and then test and learn. What can we learn that is great? What can we learn that is not so great? And use it as a lesson to leap into the next opportunity. And what can we do differently? So it is a different mindset. It's a different approach to networking. And you need to know your personal brand, because you are the brand now. You're not behind a corporate logo that is been around for 100 years, or you got the company's 5 mission that you follow. You can talk it out easily. You are setting that mission out now for your own company. And so it requires more of you being so vulnerable, accessing your own personal stories, why you say what you say, why you want to teach, or why you want to share a certain topic. You will need to have that conviction. And so it is a whole different way of approaching networking event. You want to go up and talk about it and be comfortable, and that requires confidence. And that confidence needs time to develop, like anything. And so the more you do it, the better you become, and it takes practice. So that's the huge difference that I see with corporate people, that, the way they operate and they show up at a networking event, you can see the complete difference.
You put your heart and your soul into your show. And I want to help you reach all of those potential listeners out there. That's why I'm excited to announce my upcoming podcast marketing workshop. It's about giving you practical tools to grow your audience. You'll learn the secrets to getting your podcast discovered, attracting your dream listeners, and boosting those download numbers. This workshop will be hosted live with a replay available on April 30th. You can sign up by going to galatimedia.com/workshop. Let's grow our podcasts together. That's so, so true. How can people really show up as an authority when they are at these networking events? Like you mentioned, making sure that you're doing that inner work, practicing it, taking time. But if there's like one tip that you can be like, all right, do this thing, this will help you. What is that?
Your authority is your credibility, right? And so what I can really encourage people to do is, this is either whether you're an employee or you are an entrepreneur, either one, this applies to you. You want to go and do a deep dive into what area in your life that everything that you do is credible, because it has to come from within. Everyone's got a skill, even if you're corporate. You're a supply chain expert, which means you know that subject matter. You have got the experience, whether it's corporate or whether you're training someone around corporate supply chain as an entrepreneur. You have got that experience. So if you deep dive into your credibility around what are that area, what do you believe in, why that topic is a topic that you are passionate about, what have you accomplished? There's evidence base that you can pull out, whether it's awards, recognition, qualifications, articles that you've written. You might specialize in it with a certification, with a license, and you might be endorsed as someone who knows that subject matter inside out, and you do even more research, and you are someone that leads the topic. You then become a go-to expert. Now, that applies for both parties, because in an organization, people usually work in a very specific department, and you know that subject matter inside out, back to front. You know the policy, you know the structure, you know the framework, you know the methodology, you know the procedure inside out. In fact, you are the one creating, adjusting, refining those areas for the corporate. And in your own company, you do the same as well. So in order for you to come back as an authority in that area, that's where you need to hone in. And the more you hone in on that subject matter, the more you can be an authority and embody that. So it's one thing knowing all the subject matter. There's a difference between embodying and standing in your position of power that you can talk about that topic. Because a lot of people sometimes know the subject matter, but don't stand in their power to voice and share their views, because it's something that they have not built that muscle yet.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And I'm thinking about, like, even when I talk about my corporate, being in supply chain, so boring. I did not enjoy supply chain. Sure, data, love it. Processes, love that. But when it comes to like actual inventory management, I don't really want to talk about that. I'd rather talk about podcasting, which is something that I am extremely passionate about. And I love doing it. And it comes across so easily when I'm having conversations with people. Like, most of the time, I'll get to the end of a conversation with someone, whether it's a podcast interview or not, and they're like, you get really excited about podcasts. I'm like, yeah, I do. That's why it's my job. That's why I do it. That's why I've made it my career. And I think that as entrepreneurs, it's important that when we are going to be talking about the thing that we're doing, right, in our business, in our entrepreneurial journey, that it is something that we do have a deep passion about, and to keep that passion alive. What do you think?
Absolutely. It's such a key ingredient when it comes to passion, and it has to be something that you wake up wanting to talk about it. And someone cannot inject more passion into you. That has to come from your spirit within you. You know that. It's like when I speak about it now, my tummy gets really excited, right? My whole body, my vibration, my cells comes alive. And so that is what you want to get yourself into. And sometimes in life, people go through seasons and you go to a place where you might feel a bit lost or misdirected. Come back. Let me invite you, if you listen to this episode now, come back. Go deep into a place of where your passion is. Because you might be distracted by events in lives that could happen, and then you feel a bit of misdirection and all right, where do I am feeling right now? You lost a little bit of your identity. Use this opportunity, pause this episode right now and go into a place of just deep diving into your inner voice and think, what is it that I'm so passionate about? Who can support me and champion me in this passion of mine? How can I spend a bit more time to dig deeper into my passion and to bring that fire in my belly back that I am so excited to speak about a topic or to champion XYZ? Go into that place of doing that again, because we want people to come alive. We don't want you to function in your life. Every day you wake up, you do the same thing, you go to the same place, you grab the same coffee, you drive the same route to A to Z, and you do that again for 365 days. You lose that opportunity of your own uniqueness that you can contribute into this world. So this is an invitation. Go and find a passion. Go and find something that sparks so much joy in you that you smile ear to ear. You cannot help but smile ear to ear. And that's what we want to encourage you to do.
Yes. Oh, that's so good. So, so good. And so true. I think so often, especially when we get to that point where we're feeling like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. Why am I doing this? I think adding in even going back to what your values are and like why you started. I recently had this where with a side project I'm working on, and I'm almost to the end of it. Like I've got my deadline and I'm like, this thing is just, it's not working out how I want it to. And the story's not coming together how I want it. And so my coach sat me down and was like, okay, well, why did you create this? Why is this important to you? Why is this something that you want to do? Why is this a story that you want to tell? And I was like, well, because this, and this, and like talking through it, even talking through it with someone. I'm someone who has to externally process things. And so when I have someone that I can bounce ideas off of or like talk through things with, that helps me. So figure out whether you like to internally or externally process things, and then find someone that can help you to externally process if you are someone who needs to externally process. To go back to what are those values? Why did you start your business? Why did you start whatever it is that you're doing that you are passionate about if you feel like you've lost that passion?
I want to expand on your point. You brought up such a powerful point here, because a lot of us tends to actually process a lot of thoughts in our brain. And we know this stats, right? We have got 60 to 80,000 thoughts processing in our brain. Some good thoughts, majority of them are thoughts that happened for the last how many decades of our lives that hasn't been actually unlocked. And then you have not reprogrammed them to future focused thoughts, I call them. And so you did a very powerful thing. You hired someone who can ask you questions to get you to think. And think about this. Asking one why is never enough. You might want to go through and go, why did you do that? And you go through 7 to 12 times of why. And the deeper you ask the why questions, the more you unlock more and more of the depth of that topic. Another invitation to our audience and listeners is that ask that why. Find someone, a coach, a consultant, but someone who is maybe 20 steps, 50 steps ahead of you that can see that why in you. Because they probably can see something in you already. And the reason why I say that is because for me, my superpowers, one of them is to see greatness in someone. And so when I see someone and I speak to them for about 90 seconds to 2 minutes, I already know how much potential sits right in the core of their heart, their spirit, their soul. And I love to just extract that. But not everyone is ready. So I'm very aware now and learning from my mistakes. Not everyone's ready for self-discovery, and you need to give them room and place for them to come to a place where they go, I welcome that. But when someone is so ready, guess what? The more why you can actually brainstorm and ask them questions, and you listen actively and you draw even more into the depth of their why, I tell you, that is the best way to unlock someone's depth and uniqueness. And so if you can ever find someone working with you on that level, you've found a very powerful partner. And that's where you want to partner with someone like that. Hire a coach that can really see that, not someone that can just give you a template and follow their template. Find someone who can draw that out of you. And the art of the best coach is to actually point, help you tweak, give you insights, point you to the next opportunity that the door is there. They kind of like give you the key and open the door, but you have to walk through that door to that next opportunity. And so see that in someone when you also hire a coach, because that is powerful. That can supercharge whatever you do significantly.
Yes. Oh, it's so true. There's a power in podcasting that I think is just so incredible, especially when it comes to having people on your show, having conversations with people that maybe you haven't been able to access before. I think podcasting is a great way to do that. How do you think that people should be using a podcast? Because obviously the people who are listening here, they are podcasters and they're looking to really use it to grow their business and to get more in front of more people, as well as connecting with those people who could be potential clients, could be potential collaborators. So how can people use a podcast as a networking tool?
So a couple of things. You can do both. Either you're a host or you're guests. Either way, there is millions of podcasts produced every month. And if you look for a group that can support you to either be a guest or a host, use that, because the more you talk about your topic, the more you are in your zone of genius. And it is amazing. I teach this in one of my programs, and it's in one of my methodology as well. It's because in this conversation, if you look back at the last 15 minutes, we already dig so deep into so many aspects and areas very quickly, right? And we already know how we want to inspire someone. We share our stories, we share our life lessons and concepts. And now we are inviting someone to think about how you can use podcasting as a networking opportunity, because it is in this golden age that we are in right now. And so it helps you understand someone's brand story, what they're passionate about. Because when you talk about it, you can't lie. You can't be the next person that you're not. You are the person that you are sharing that. It comes alive. You're not following a script anymore. And that conversational style interview is powerful. And when, like Alicia, who's very good at asking questions, you will be able to share naturally. And that's what people are looking for. No longer scripted information that have been researched for days and years. It is combining knowledge, life experience, stories, and just impart back into the audience and help them be inspired. And so use podcasting as a networking tool, and you can share your episode that you speak about to someone, right? To your audience. You can use that episode to teach. You can introduce this episode to someone who's not heard about your passion yet, and to give them a taste of your energy, your knowledge, your expertise. That is a great way. Like, there's so many ways to use podcasting. And I highly recommend that if you have never been on podcast before as a guest, start. Maybe for the first 6 months, aim for 5 opportunities to be a guest on someone's podcast. If you're a podcast host, I would invite you to think about how you can, upgrade your questioning technique. Maybe go deeper into, questions that you have never asked before. Because I've worked with 100 plus podcast hosts so far being a guest, and I found that some people prefer to be more structured and they can keep that structure all the time. Some people are very conversational, as though I'm meet you for the first time at a coffee place or, meet you for an evening cocktail. Either way, right? We're having a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But upgrade your skills. I'm not saying that you don't have the skills that you're doing right now, but if you can upgrade that, how can I make it more fun? How can I add interesting questions? Like in the past, I had a season of my podcasting career whereby I asked people this question: if you have got a camera, a secret camera that you can put in people's any room in the world, where would you place that camera? And different people have got different, perspective. And so I think it's so fun to network through podcasting. And it's the new way of networking in my view.
Yes, I could not agree more. So this has been such an incredible conversation, and we've touched on so many awesome aspects of networking, entrepreneurship, as well as some mindset stuff, which I think is so important, especially as entrepreneurs, and really getting clear on who we are, what we're talking about, what our passion is. And I think Jocelyn has given us some really incredible ideas, as well as things that we can stop, pause, and reflect on. So Jocelyn, thank you so much. If you could just tell everyone where they can find you, hang out with you, maybe send you a DM, as well as listen to your show.
Couple places that you can find me. Come and hang out with me on LinkedIn. So it will be in the show notes, but find me on Jocelyn Chong on LinkedIn. If you want to DM me on Instagram. I am there every day and I check once a day. So, you want to send me a note, DM, that's the best place to DM me. And I've got a lot of free resources on my website. So go into the free resource tab on my website and just download. There's a chapter of my book. There is a affirmation for success that you want to read, or you want to print out, or you want to listen to the audio version. There's the download there. There's also an ebook around how you can really upgrade yourself, tweak and find yourself even more. Plus mini courses. So, from time management to riches to niches to a whole heap of stuff as well in there that you can just download. So access that. And love to help. If you want to do a free discovery call with me, you're welcome to book an opportunity to have a chat. And it's a strategy call. You walk away with something that you may not have known about yourself, which I am skillful in doing that. And then, you can make better decisions for your life. So I encourage you to do one of those.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We'll make sure that we have those linked in the show notes. Again, thank you so much, Jocelyn.
Thank you so much, Alicia. You're a great, powerful podcast host.
Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Listeners to Leads. If you found something in this episode valuable, I would really appreciate it if you shared it with a friend who you know would also get value from it. Want to send me a message? My favorite place to hang out is Instagram. You can find me at alicia.galati. Let me know what your favorite takeaway was from the episode. And don't forget, turning those listeners into leads is actually easy.